Hey everyone, today I thought I would take you through how I get ready for a show jumping lesson or clinic. So after I take the cover off, I begin brushing him. When I brush him, I break it down into sections. So I start with an overview type thing over all his body, and then I'll break it down into sections. So the first section is his mane, and I'll take a metal curry comb and just brush it all through, make sure it's sitting flat. Then the next area I do is where his girth goes and where his saddle goes. I'll keep checking with my hand specifically where his girth goes, because you don't want to leave dirt there, because you can cause saddle sores and girth galls. Then the next area I do is his legs. When I brush down them, I check for any cuts, and I also check them for any heat or swelling. So I run my hands down his tendons and his pastins and just make sure everything's feeling nice and even and good. And then I do the same on his back legs. Then I move on to putting some fly spray on his legs, which he hates. The next section I move on to is his tail. I have two big tips for making tails look nicer. The first one is to only ever use soft bristle brushes, because they pull out the least amount of hair. So I'm just using a body brush and a soft bristled dandy brush. My second tip is to separate the tail out into sections and to brush through each of those sections, with the aim at the end to be able to run my hand through it without any knots. Normally I would pick out his hooves after I have the saddle on, but today, because there is a camera rolling, apparently I can't think properly. The reason I like to pick out his hooves once the saddle is on is because it allows his skin to stretch out under his girth. Then I like to move on to taking away his masculinity by painting his nails. No, I like putting hoof oil on, one because it makes their appearance look a lot tidier, but also because it moisturizes their hooves, and in the summer their hooves dry out quite a lot. Next I get a saddle blanket, shake it out, check that there's nothing on it that's going to annoy him, and then I get my half pad, which is by Lemieux or Lemieux, however you want to say it, I don't know. And then my saddle, which as you can see is a bait saddle. I actually have a video on this saddle if you want to check it out. It's on my channel. Here I'm just aligning everything up, making it sit nicely, doing the straps up, and then I'm getting my stud girth, which is by Platinum, and my breastplate. I don't know what brand my breastplate is though, and I'm just doing up the girth, not too tight though, and then I am adjusting my breastplate to make sure he can use his shoulders properly when he jumps. Next I'll put on his jumping boots. These are just the ones I use for schooling, which are open front boots, and then some fetlock boots. When you're putting on jumping boots, you want to make sure that they aren't sitting too low, because if they are, they can limit the flexion or movement of the horse's legs. Before I put on his bridle, I will work on his face. So I'll get two sponges and dampen them, and then I'll just wipe all the dust off, and then I'll get some fly spray and put some fly spray on the sponge, because he hates being sprayed in the face. Then with the second sponge, I will work under his dock as a daily hygiene routine. Haha, make a wee rhyme. Then I pop on his ear bonnet, which has multiple names, but I call it an ear bonnet. This just helps with blocking out sound because splash can be quite spooky, and it also limits the amount of flies he can get annoyed by. Then I just fiddle around with his bridle, making sure it sits nicely. Then I do up his noseband and his throat lash, putting all the keepers in, and then I do up his flash, making sure I don't do it up too tightly. With the noseband you want to make sure you can fit 2 fingers under it, and then the throat lash you want to fit 4 fingers under it. Then I will go and put my tall boots on, which are by the brand Brugini, and I'll put my spurs on as well. I can hear a single word, the feeling of your skin. And lastly, I will put my helmet on, which is a Kep mica. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you next week. And if you feel generous, please subscribe and comment any videos you guys want to see down below. Bye!
And I got the good side of things, left you with both of the rings.
Ooh, this is a smelly one.